Hello everyone and welcome to Twitch Tales episode 76 of the Running Total. Where did we leave off in episode 75? Well, Apis started in a brainfish, a creature of my own creation of the Feywild, an enormous whale-sized beast. This beast seems to charm a creature and then use its very unique method of digestion to digest them from the brainwaves down. Psychic digestion. However, if one can be resistant to the charm and in return try and charm the brainfish by entertaining it with riddles and minigames and puzzles and things that intellectually keep it active, then one can take a modicum of control over it and use it as a water vessel. So Apis was doing that. Throughout most of last episode, Apis was giving riddles to this brainfish, trying to keep it active, trying to keep it interested for the duration of this journey across this short sea. Doing so, and arriving on the beach, they met up again with their giant bee companion, a bee called Mel, but for the time being here in the Feywild, we are referring to her as Empress, because names have great power here in the Feywild. And we met up with a stranger on the beach, a wood elf traveller, another ranger it seems, a man who called himself Farangol. We have the impression that that's not his real name, given that he's not stupid enough to have given his real name to a stranger in the Feywild, it seems. Likewise, we did not introduce ourselves as Apis, but as Archer. Farangol was suspicious of us, had a healthy suspicion, as you are meant to do in the Feywild, but upon discovering that we were here as the guest of an Archfey, the Merry Gentleman, Farangol had interesting reactions. We incited from his reactions that he is not particularly a fan of the Merry Gentleman, and that he has been to the Merry Gentleman's place before, but when we asked about him being there as a visitor, he said, "No, I didn't say I was there as a guest or as a visitor. I was there." We don't know what that meant, and we didn't probe further yet, but we walked with him for some time as he decided to show us the way to the Merry Gentleman. He took us further inland, away from the beach, through some forest, which became swamp, and then into the foothills of a mountain range. As we got to the foothills of the mountains, we noticed a few things. The first was that Farangol was exceptionally talented with a bow, much more than even we, and we are very good with a bow. The second was that the terrains here, what's the word for the different types of environment? The biomes. The biomes of this plain seem to be rather short and small. It didn't take long to go from beach to forest, and it didn't take long to go from forest to swamps, and it didn't take long to go from swamps to mountains. And even standing here at the foot of the mountains, it doesn't seem like this mountain range is very large at all. What is large are two mountains in particular, through which we need to pass, between which we need to pass. The last thing Apis noticed at this moment was that the ground seemed to start rumbling as you got closer and closer to the mountains, like an almost permanent earthquake happening just below the surface. As we got closer, however, Farangol managed to point out to us that we are not experiencing an earthquake, but the mountains talking. Of course mountains talk. We're in the Feywild. Why would it not? Nothing seems to be a surprising Apis anymore. These seem to be some sort of sentient mountain guardians, and they are talking to us through vibrations of the ground, just as we would converse through vibrations of the air. And as you started to hone in on those vibrations and try and interpret them as meaning, they seemed to find meaning in your brain. They seemed to rumble you enough that your language center could interpret them as words. And the words were, "What are you?" So, Apis, what are you? Could we infer from the area changing in the direction we're moving in which way dawn would be? Well, the funny thing about the Feywild is, Redile, in all your time here, and you've been here for what you would call a couple of days now, the sun has not changed in the sky. It seems like this place of existence is tidally locked to the sun, and so it is permanently dawn. I don't know, but I'm here to try and find out. An invited guest. I think we're going to put a poll to this one because there's a lot of people have had different options, different thoughts about what we're going to answer to this, and you've had 2 months to decide. I don't know, but I'm here to try and find out. An invited guest. I knew what I was this morning, but I've changed a few times since then. Sweet ref to Alice in Wonderland there. I'm invited. Who's asking? Answer with the question. I'm an honoured guest. What are you, Honourable Rumbling Mountain? And whatever we choose to be. What are you, a dwarf? Maybe a bit hungry? I'm invited. What do you want us to be? I'll be whatever you want us to be, mountain boy. I am what I think I am, but... Wait. I am what I may think I am, but I know I am not what I know I am not. Being a guest is important, as certain rules will kick in. Something the Merry Gentleman finds interesting. Alright. Before I put this poll together, any other options? We've got the options we've got. Any other options that people want to add to the poll? So the options are going to be... I know what I was this morning, but I've changed since then. I'm an invited guest. I'm here to find the answer to that out. Answer with a question, like, you go first. Who are you first? What are you? What does it matter to you? Any kind of answering with a question. Or trying to avoid the question, I guess, is the same sort of thing as there. Anything else? All of the above. All of the above? I mean, I guess we can. Alright, let's start a poll. Alright, interesting. We have a majority from a 5-poll question. It is very uncommon that Apis can ever have such consenting opinion. Consenting is not the right word. What's the opposite of dissent? It's very uncommon for Apis to have such a decisive opinion together, a collaborated opinion, that you have an over 50% answer to a poll when there are 5 options. Quite often, most often, I have to say, okay, well, we haven't got a consensus, but we'll drop the 2 or 3 lowest ones and we'll go again. We'll repeat the poll with the ones that got the most votes. What do they call it? Preferential voting style. But not this time. With 57% of the vote, Apis decides to say that they are an invited guest. Now, do you like that wording particularly? An invited guest. Just leave it at that. Do you want to have that feeling, but like play with the wording at all? What do you guys think? You're good with the words an invited guest. Put a thumbs up if you are happy with an invited guest. Put a thumbs down if you want to just tweak it a little. The Merry Gentleman's invited guest, for instance. An invited guest of the Merry Gentleman, Lord of Avalon. Keep the wording. Most people saying yes, we're going to keep the word in there. All right. So as the mountain rumbles, you respond aloud. An invited guest. And then the rumbling stops briefly. You hear 2 things. The first, off to your right, you hear Farangol responding aloud. Someone trying to right past wrongs. While he is responding, you also hear your own response coming from the mountain. Another rumble. Your brain interprets it as 2 words. Prove it. And then the ground starts to shift. The ground in front of you seems to bulge in various areas. Like there are bubbles of rock that seems to be popping up out of the ground and forming itself into other creatures as it forms. You see the following, and I'm going to need you to pay attention. One of them seems to form a large six-legged creature with tentacles from the back of its head, made out of rock still. A very crude and rough-hewn carving of what you can very clearly identify as a displacer beast. Another forms a creature that seems to be two-legged and has this very round sort of mane-like hair around its rock face. Very small creature, probably around about Briar's size. 2 foot tall, hobbit-sized creature of sorts. Another forms a four-legged wolf-like beast, but it seems like a very rough-hewn carving of a humanoid face on it. The next seems to form another bipedal creature around about the hobbit sort of size, but it has this very angular and dangerous, malicious kind of face, this hooked nose and this red moss that seems to grow over the top of it, that seems to form this kind of this kind of red cap almost on it. The next one down seems to form another bipedal creature, but this one more hulked over and arch-backed with these large crustacean-like pincers and mandibles. The next seems to be a very small protrusion of rock that you barely recognize at first. It's only a foot tall at most, but it's humanoid and it is long and angular, and it's very sleek in its appearance, with the rock that is making up its body being very weather-worn, it seems, and smooth, very aerodynamic, it seems. The next is a humanoid-looking bipedal woman, except that her back legs seem to be her back legs. She's a woman. Her legs seem to be that of a very sharp-taloned bird of prey of some kind, and out of her shoulder blades, a sprouting pair of what will probably be non-functional wings made of the same rock as the rest of her. The next is another small creature. It seems like there's a lot of small creatures in this lineup. It's a small creature that seems to be of hobbit-ish size, but a little bit more dumpy in all of its dimensions. It seems to have a very large face, taking up most of its body, and very large eyes. It's got this kind of almost downturned, frowny kind of expression to it. And the last one, the final one, seems to be another wolf-like creature in its quadrupedal appearance, but you recognize that one as definitely a representation of a blink dog, having just seen a blink dog recently back with Dale. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different creatures that emerge from this mountain in front of you. They are about in a semicircle-ish fashion, and they are about 60 feet away from you. And as soon as they arrive out of the ground, they turn their attention to you and start sprinting towards you. They never leave the mountains. When they run, it seems like almost like when you're printing 3D printer and there's like structures and supports on it. As they lift up their feet or bat their wings, there are other rock pillars that sort of come up to support them as they run, and they move through the ground like that. It does not seem like they're actually sentient creatures. They are representations from the mountain. The mountain is putting you through some kind of a trial to prove that you are an invited guest. What do? As these things attack you, you have essentially one round before they get to you, one action before they get to you. What do you do with your action before they all are upon you? What was Farangol's answer? Someone trying to right past wrongs. Do you recognise any of the hobbits? I should be very clear, Todok. None of the 3 creatures are hobbits. They were hobbit-sized. I was giving you a representation of something to imagine in your head as to like picturing the size of what these creatures are. Definitely not hobbits. The ones that are hobbit-sized were a small one that seemed to have almost fawn-like legs, satyr-like legs, and a large mane of hair. One that seemed to be very angular-faced and malicious-looking with a red mossy cap on it. One with crustaceans and pincers. And one with a very large kind of face, large eyes, and kind of a downturned, sad expression. So what do we want to do? Sit calmly and meditate for 1 round. Wait till they get closer and Misty step past them, hope we can outrun them. Why do I always get all the typing? Should I give you another dream as well, Fancy? Use Destroy Earth. Nailed it. Offer our hand out for a handshake because we're an honoured guest. So they're all creatures, no humanoids. There are some that, like, it's a much vaguer delineation in my world. There are some that would be considered humanoid creatures, probably. Humanoid in the fact that they're bipedal and have arms and vague basic structure of a human. But, like, category humanoid in D&D Monster Manual terminology? Probably not. Alright, so wait and do nothing. Play the panpipes. Call out Tom Tom. Tom Tom's our... I didn't include him in the recap because it seemed superfluous information, but the Merry Gentleman, through one of his what they called, through one of his subjects, a little fairy that came to us, gave us a gift of a beetle, a wayfinder beetle that can point the direction to the nearest portal and whatnot. So that's what Tom Tom is. Don't attack, wait, planar warrior the displacer beast. We could stand unflinching. We're invited, so Merry Gentleman wouldn't let us die. Should ignore them, prove we're invited by not imitating hostilities or showing fear. Displacer beast might have something to do with it, since that's when we met Bobby, who was sent by the Merry Gentleman, but I'm not sure what to do about it. Greet the wolf-like creature with panpipes. There are 2. There's a blink dog and a wolf-like creature with a humanoid face. Offer them a gift of some kind. Show Tom Tom and wait. Prove that we're a planewalker. Alright, so we've got a few options coming up. So present Tom Tom, do nothing and be unflinching. Offer the dice. Somebody said attack the displacer beast. What is Mel doing? Mel was not Mel was not in contact with the ground, so she did not answer the question. It seems like she was not asked the question. All right, let's go with a poll. For those saying copy Farangol, he is off to your right and behind your shoulder. It seems like your trial is first. He has not been presented with anything. The 9 creatures were presented to you and are attacking you, or approaching you, I should say. You don't know for sure that they're attacking. Definitely seems hostile. All right. Oh, Misty Step was the other option. Yes. All right. So let's see. Let's put some options down. Honing down on you at great speed, I'm going to just give you a 1-minute poll to decide, so that it feels like there's a little more pressure on it. What to do? What is the gift? The gift we were presented by Dale, the Eladrin, was a jewellery box, a really nice carved wooden box, very similar to our dice box, but larger. And I believe he told us when we got into the brainfish, don't open it, didn't he? Alright, not a consensus. We've got a 42% majority, so we are going to redo the poll with another 1-minute thing. It's going to be present the gift or use Tom Tom. In fact, no, we're not going to redo the poll. We've got a binary option, so thumbs up in the chat if you want to present the gift, thumbs down if you want to use Tom Tom in some way. As they are charging towards you, you get one chance to do something. Alright. It is looking like... Ooh, it's not super easy to tell. We only have Dale's word that gift is a thing, whereas the Tom Tom is from the Merry Gentleman himself. That's a good point. Seems like the no's have it. In the moment, the things are almost on you. You hold out your hand and say Tom Tom, and he rushes out of your bracer where he lives onto the palm of your hand. And as it stands there looking at you, all of them attack. They get to within about 3 feet of you, charging down, almost shoulder to shoulder, blending together because the semicircle has pushed in further and further and further. getting closer and closer, running out of space. And as each of them get to within like 2 or 3 feet of you, they all explode into gravel and just plow into you. You take 9 points of damage, which I'm going to put onto your sheet right now. You take 9 points of damage, which takes you down to 29. And then after taking the damage, you're peppered with all of this damage. It hits you in the face. It hurts a lot. It does not seem like the beetle did anything at all. It did not seem like they responded in any way. And then a moment later, all 9 of them reappear 60 feet away, turn their attention to you, and start to attack. What do? Offer a hand out for a handshake? Cry? For only 9 damage? 1 each? Yes. Each one of them hit you for 1 damage, and then reformed and started again. How do we prove we are an invited guest? Ready, Misty Step. If they get that close again, shout, Lord of Avalon gave me this beetle so I could find him. I'll allow you to shout that for free. That's not an action to do so. You get peppered for the thing, and you think maybe I didn't get the beetle out in time for them to know what it was or the context. So you shout as they're starting to turn and run towards you again. You shout, "The Lord of Avalon gave me this beetle so that I could find him and come." Does not seem to have any effect on them at all. They do not change their pace. They move towards you with great speed. It seems like they are going to attack again. Planar Warrior, the Displacer Beast. Attack. What does Farangol do? Farangol is not doing anything because he's off to the back right of your shoulder and it's not his trial. He's watching you. Rob said pay attention when he was describing the stone sculptor's forms. Maybe there's one that we need to choose. Alright, so new poll. Misty Step. Attack in some way. Present the gift. Displace the cloak. Did not seem to have an effect. They didn't have to roll to attack. When there are 9 rock creatures that can turn to gravel and shotgun blast essentially where your space is, it doesn't matter whether you look like you're here rather than here. Is there anything else? Alright, looks like those are the 3 major options. Misty Step attack or present the gift. Obviously Planar Warrior can be a part of an attack if that's what people want to do. So with 72% of the vote wanting to Misty Step, wanting to give yourself a little time, you Misty Step. Are you going to Misty Step behind, like wait for them to get to you, Misty Step behind them? Or are you going to try and Misty Step away to give yourself extra room to think before they get to you? Or off to the side as they get to you? Is there anything nearby that's not on the ground, like away from Earth? Unfortunately not. You're in the foothills of the mountain now. Behind them, off to the side. Alright, I guess this has to be a poll of itself. Misty Step, where? Behind them to dodge. Away from them for more distance to think, more time to think before doing something. Behind them, away from them, or to the side. 1 minute to decide. Regardless of where you end up, you're going to end up on mountain rock, and you're going to end up in an area where they can theoretically get to you again, unless they're on a very specific path. Misty stepping behind them. All right. So you wait. They're getting closer. You think, okay, prove that I'm a Planar Warrior. Maybe that'll help. You think about your Planar Warrior abilities. You've got 2 second level spell slots left for Misty Step, and as they get close again, you can see them starting to kind of almost merge shoulder to shoulder into one creature as they get to you, and then shotgun shell. They turn into gravel and blast towards you, and in that moment, you think about You think about the feelings of what it's like where you are, the exact environment around where you are right now. You think about the environment of what it's like to be standing over there. You picture yourself as being over there, and in an instant, you feel that force energy tingling down your body, surging down your skin, and then you are surrounded by a mountain fog, like the rolling fog that disappears in the mornings of a mountain range, and that surrounds you and appears right behind you as the gravel misses you. You avoid the damage. However, 60 feet in front of you, so 30 feet back from where they were, in a semicircle around you, they reappear, turn their attention to you, and start to attack. What do? You shout out. One of the things somebody wanted to shout out was, "Can you explain the test? I don't know what you want from me." They're leaving retreat as an option via a semicircle. It seems like it. The semicircle is definitely between you and the mountain pass that you're trying to go to. You're going to kill one, wouldn't have specified the shape of each if there wasn't a choice involved. The dumpy looking hobbit is asking for death. Look for a cave or an entrance. Nothing's close enough to get to bloody Gosu. What do we want to do, everybody? You've got one action to do before they're on you again. You do have another Misty Step if you want. If you run out of ideas and you just want to be like, try and move, dash, Misty Step away. Give yourself as much time as possible. Attack the lion-looking one using Planar Warrior. Go for the Displacer Beast. It was a test from him. I guess. Guest should be offering a gift as an invited guest. Alright, so some people want to say attack. We're pretty much down to attack or present the gift now, right? Present the present in the present moment. Attack the Harpy. Attack the Displacer Beast and the Harpy. I think we should take a potion or use a Cure Wounds. That's also an option if you wanted to use your action to just take one of your healing potions. If you use an action to do so, you regain 10 hit points. So you'd be taking your action to do that. Then they'd hit you for 9 hit points or maybe more. You don't know if the damage is going to increase. With 56% of the vote, Apes is almost split down the middle in two minds. Quickly rummages in their bags. They're 40 feet away, 30 feet away. Here it is. Your hand clasps around the box. They're 20 feet away. You pull it out and you say, "This is a gift for the merry gentleman." They're 10 feet away. And you realise your mistake. Oh dear. They blast you with gravel for 9 points of damage. They didn't seem to care at all that you had a gift for the merry gentleman. And they reform. 60 feet away, turn their attention to you, and attack. Can we roll an insight check on the mountains? Unfortunately, the DC would be higher than you can roll. You are not familiar with... I genuinely might have allowed that as an option if you had mountains as one of your favourite terrain. Maybe. Farangol is just watching this go down with no interest in suggesting anything. What do I need to do, Ferngully? Alright, you turn to Farangol as they're reforming. You're like, "What do I need to do here?" You're essentially asking the DM, "Give us some clues for this puzzle." Does Farangol know what to do? Because he's never had to do this before. I'm going to roll an intelligence check on his behalf, see if he knows. He says, they're testing you. Their brains, the way that they work is foreign to me, even to me. They're very complicated, a complicated idea of what they want. They're clearly asking you to choose something. I would probably just attack them. That's what he says with his check as to what he thinks he interprets the puzzle to be, the trial to be. All right. So I think most people are out of ideas and we're going with an attack as an option. The question is, who do we want to hit? Displacer Beast has definitely come up. The dumpy not hobbit, as people have said. Are any of them related to our host other than the Displacer Beast? I will allow you to roll to see if you know. Let's go with a history check. History check for you. You are not proficient in history, so it'll be a straight 3. That's cocked. 11. With an 11 plus 3 intelligence on your history check, that's 14 total. With a 14 history, you know that the Displacer Beast does have a direct connection to the Merry Gentleman in that he seems to have sent one to test you and like unlock your Horizon Walker abilities to begin with. You definitely recognise the winged woman as a harpy. You can't think of any reason she has a connection to him. You definitely recognise the blink dog, and you can't think of a connection that has. You recognise the one with the red cap as a creature called a red cap, and you definitely don't know of any connection between the Merry Gentleman and him. Unfortunately, I'm going to say with a 14, you don't know any of these creatures that have a connection to him other than the Displacer Beast. Is not attacking still on the table? I mean, if you can suggest another option, Cake Ladder, you can try. It's just that one by one, the other options of the poll seem to have been whittled away. But absolutely feel free to offer another option. Surely such trial would come up in stories from a mother. She knew a lot about Fae. She does, yeah. Unfortunately, with the 14, this is too specific a circumstance to have heard anything about it. If we're attacking the Displacer Beast, would Apis know if they are Fey creatures? Very good question, Myth. Let's roll you an Arcana check. Let me empty out the dice box a little, because I know that some people get quite anxious about the number of dice in the dice tray. So let me do you a solid and roll this for you. Alright, dice cam. An Arcana check to see if you know if they're all Fey creatures or not. That's a nat 1. Suffice to say, if you thought about it, if you were in a less stressful situation, if you were in a less stressful circumstance of being attacked by these things repeatedly, you'd probably be able to sit down and think about which ones, what creatures they're representing, and whether or not they're Fey creatures or not. You're not exactly sure though. Present our cloak to the Displacer Beast as a sort of redemption, or attack it with Planar Warrior. Yeah. Cast Cure Wounds and or take a potion or two. Who knows when we'll get a long rest. Any of them decorated with a Snapdragon? No, they are not. None of them are representative of the Merry Gentleman in a way that you have seen him represent himself before. None of them are wearing a green suit or wearing a top hat, wearing flowers in their lapel, anything like that. Alright, who is for attack? Yes or no? Alright, people are for attack. Who is for... maybe I'll just put it to a poll using the options of what people have seemed to be saying in the chat. Are we going for the Displacer Beast, the dumpy looking not hobbit, the harpy looking one, the one with a lot of hair like a mane, or one of the other ones, a different one? This test is mean, Rob. Welcome to the Feywild. They think differently. They don't just give you the solution by giving you the question in the first place. Stick you in a problem and be like, work it out. We're testing you on something. Alright, with 83% of the vote, Apis, all out of other ideas, draws out an arrow from their quiver, knocks an arrow towards the Displacer Beast on the far right, and knowing that the Merry Gentleman sent a Displacer Beast once to test us, fires off the arrow. It smacks directly on target, hits the Displacer Beast right through the face, and in a strange way that of your arrow interacting with what looks like solid rock, it instead plows into it as if he's just like a combined lump of gravel. The Displacer Beast smashes about 30 feet out from you, explodes outwards, and the other 8 continue their progress, explode into gravel, and hit you for 8 damage. Then the 8 of them reform 60 feet away, turn their attention to you, and attack. You get 2 attacks in a round. For the purposes of this, I'm afraid you don't. This is not using combat mechanics. This is using your attack is your choice. You are making a choice, and you have made one choice per round. So I understand, Rowie, but I'm afraid for the purposes of this, that's not happening. If it makes you feel better, it takes 2 arrows to kill any one of them. So you shoot the Displacer Beast twice, and it blows it up. What do? One of them has gone. If attacking is the right thing to do, then it seems you chose poorly. I'm going to give Farangol another chance to step in and save you here. Let's give him another intelligence check, see if he works out what the puzzle is. Unfortunately, he got a 4, so Farangol Farangol says, well, I mean, oh, sod it. He draws out an arrow and just shoots at the closest one, which is the blink dog. His arrow, as they're halfway through, passes through the blink dog like it's gravel. The blink dog immediately reforms and continues its progress towards you. Because it's not his test, it's yours. Healing might be a better option. If you cast Cure Wounds on yourself at 2nd level, that's 2d8 plus 2. So you've got anywhere between 4 and 18 hit points there, with an average of 11. So you would need to roll well enough on the d8s to get at least 9 points of damage in order to make it worth it. That dumpy looking knot hobbit is doing 7 of the 8 damage. You need to call it out. Say the displaced beast was a test from Diggin. You shout that out as you fired the thing off, and it doesn't seem to have affected it now. It seems like the displaced beast was shooting the displaced beast was not what you needed to do, it seems. Myth says shoot the harpy. Truth Save says to heal. Do we have to invite the creatures? Do nothing with open arms? Say we're a Horizon Walker and then attack. All you needed to show is the invite. Yeah, did you not bring your invite? I was wondering if one represented Bobby. There's not one that looks immediately like Bobby. There is one that looks like the closest to Bobby would be the dumpy looking knot hobbit with the big eyes and the face. But it doesn't seem to be a Bobby representation. Similar dimensions to his body though. Happy's the only one that doesn't live on the ground. I wanna shake your hand. Alright, so we've got a few options coming in. People are now going back on the attack idea. Offer your hand. Do nothing. Shoot the harpy. Shoot the knot hobbit. Or was there another one? Anything else? Or heal. It's getting pretty dire. You're down to 12 hit points. It seems like you can survive it because it seems like each one of them is doing 1 point of damage each time. So you can survive screwing up one more time. If you attack one of them and get it wrong, then you'll take 7 damage. I'm going to go insane before we figure this dang thing out. Ooh, not got a majority here. 39% of you wanting to heal, 32% of you wanting to shoot the harpy. Only 7% and 4% wanting to offer your hand or do nothing, so we're going to drop those ones. If I put 18 onto that, we would have got 50-50. So 11 onto that wouldn't have got that. So shoot the knot hobbit is also gone. So it's going to come down to a secondary vote: heal or shoot the harpy. That's the two options that are going through Apis' mind most strongly. Heal or shoot the harpy. All of the nice answers were wrong. The Merry Gentleman does not have red hair. He does have red hair. He's got auburn hair, yes, but not that one. You definitely recognise as a red cap, a little malicious creature that spawns from bloodshed and things. Kind of like a garden gnome looking thing that kills people. Planar warrior. Yeah, I'm going to say that so that you don't think that's an option that I just ignored. You did use Planar Warrior on the Displacer Beast, and it did not seem to affect it. 78% of you deciding to shoot the harpy. You look at the harpy, you think, I mean, it's the only one with wings. You take off a shot, you Planar Warrior into it, you feel the electricity crackling down your skin. The Merry Gentleman invited me here in dreams. And you're shouting out all of these things, trying to persuade these guys to stop attacking you. And as the arrow disappears from your bow, in usual Planar Warrior fashion, it disappears into the ethereal plane, reappears in the center of the harpy's form, and the harpy explodes in gravel. The rest of them continue on towards you for a couple extra steps, and then turn into gravel and harmlessly kind of wash like a tide to your feet. They do not reform. Panting, you look at the surroundings. You turn to Farangol. Farangol has an expression on his face. He looks across at them and says, "Oh, that must have been a boggle, and that one must have been a corrid." They were all fey creatures, except for the harpy. There have been long rumours that harpies were born of this plane, but it seems not. They are monstrosities from the material plane. You had to choose which one was not fey, it seems, in order to prove that you were invited to this plane, that you know enough about this plane. The dumpy-looking hobbit was looking mighty suspicious. The dumpy-looking hobbit, Farangol explains as you guys sort of like come to a panting pause to catch your breath. The dumpy-looking hobbit was a creature, Farangol explains, called a boggle. They're sort of like the little bogeymen of the Feywild. They will hide in shadows and lurk. They will do mischievous things around your house, like tying your bootlaces together or smashing your crockery. They will steal things and misplace things around your house just to irritate. And they're particularly difficult to get rid of out of your house because they can exude a slippery oil-like substance or a sticky substance as well. If you try and grab them and throw them out, either they'll exude this oil which means they can slip from your grasp and run away, or they will make themselves sticky so you literally can't throw them away. They're nasty little buggers, but they're more of a nuisance than anything else. Creepy little garden gnomes that people have look like little monster fairies. Yeah. Having realised the one that was right for the wrong reasons with some of you, you are informed from Farangol that the answer to the puzzle was probably to choose to prove that you are an invited guest to the Merry Gentleman by proving that you know something a little about this plane of existence. That line of logic doesn't seem to make sense ultimately to you, because why would you have to know anything about the Feywild in order to be invited to the Feywild? You shouldn't have to know the ins and outs of the Feywild creatures in order to be invited here. And yet you're just reminded. Excuse me. And yet you're just reminded with that Fey don't think in the same way as you do. They are different creatures. That reason and logic is different here. Unfortunately, you don't have much time to dwell on that, however, because out of the ground, just a singular creature, seemingly made of rock. As it is forming, it seems to be getting larger and taller, like a elven sort of sized humanoid creature. As it is forming, you have the chance to heal if you want to. Cast Cure Wounds. Thumbs up if you want to cast Cure Wounds on yourself. Thumbs down if you don't. You have one level 1 spell slot and one level 2 spell slot. You have 2 level 1 spell slots left and 1 level 2 spell slot left. Yes, okay. So yes, we are definitely going to heal. Do we want to cast it at 2nd level or 1st level? 1st level is 1d8 plus 2. 2nd level is 2d8 plus 2. We're going to hold on to our potion J, I think, because we've only got 2 of them and spell slots come back every day, but potions don't. Mind you, to be fair, you might need your spell slots for other things as well. Most people saying 1, I think, but there is quite a dissent, so I will put it as a poll, a really quick poll. Question, which level to use? As this next thing is forming, it's a singular creature, and it's a little further ahead than the others were. It's probably like 300 feet ahead, rather than 60. With 68% of the vote, level 1. Apis, as you see this creature forming ahead, about 300 feet away and up the mountain a little more, you conjure the images to your mind of Flonanshale, the goddess of healing, the serene lake that you've been shown in a dream once, the overhanging tree that is her symbol. You run your hand across the many peppered wounds of the gravel that's been embedded in your skin from shotgun-like blast. And you cast Cure Wounds. It's 1d8 plus 2. That's 4 plus 2. You get 6 hit points back. By the time you've finished and your eyes open again, some of your wounds closing up, you can see the creature ahead. This rock-like presentation of a creature has definitively formed what you recognize as the Merry Gentleman. It is not the Merry Gentleman, it seems, because it seems like it's some sort of stone golem representation of him. But he has, it is a crude, rough-hewn, humanoid, elven-looking creature with what seems to be a cylinder at the top for what would be his top hat, and some kind of larger outcropping chunk of rock on the chest here off to the side, which would definitely represent a something in a lapel. You can recognize it as a representation of him. And he just stands there about 300 feet ahead, not doing anything. I'm going to make you an insight check real quick. That is an 8. I'll just turn the dice cam on for you there. That was an 8 on the insight check and the 4 from the healing before. Turning round to see Farangol, you insight with your 8 plus 2, 10 total. You insight that Farangol is not really reacting to that too much. He's noticed it, and his face is hard to read. It's what you would call stern. He has a stern face on, but other than that you can't read much. Went from heavily wounded to slightly less heavily wounded. Yeah. I'd say well met, but looks like it took a second to understand your greetings. I'm going to use Misty Step to get slightly closer. You ask Farangol, is this your test, maybe? And he says, I think it might be. He starts to move towards the merry rock gentleman. Did we pass? May we pass? You start to walk forwards as well. The merry gentleman has a stony gaze. Haha, nice. You just get out of the way and he walks up. The rocky gentleman. The merry gentle rock. Are you staying where you are, or are you walking with Farangol? It's a good 300 foot distance. He's going to be walking up the mountain towards him. Stay and watch, stay and watch. Most people are saying you wait here, so you walk a couple steps forward, but you ultimately let him get some distance on you. You watch as he approaches, and from this distance you can't hear anything that's being said, if there is anything being said, but Farangol gets to within 30 feet of him and stands there. And after a good minute or two, Farangol turns back towards you with a confused look on his face. He walks forwards even further and gets to within 10 feet of the Merry Gentleman creature, this representation. From here it doesn't seem like the thing is responding at all. After about 2 more minutes of standing this close, Farangol shouts back to you, "It's not responding to me." You start to move towards it, you get closer as well. You get closer and closer, and as you do so, when you get to within about 100 feet of it, the rock around you starts to raise a little in the back behind you. At first, your paranoia kicks in, and you think that you're being trapped, like encompassed from behind. Something is going to enclose behind you. But as you turn to see this rock changing behind you, you see it's creating an amphitheater of sorts. It's creating like an outdoor theater. There are stone seats that it is creating behind. When you get to within about 30 feet of this thing, a stage raises beneath this mineral gentleman, and then it starts to rumble speak. It seems more direct to your mind, almost like a mixture of this tremor sense telepathy, this telepathy sense, and straight up telepathy. The golden star directly above, motionless in the air. Fields of pale green below, outstretched in the daylight. Heightened emotions, sorrow and love, mania and despair. Every feeling will come and go, sure as day follows night. As this thing is orating up here on this stage, illusions start to spring around you in this amphitheatre, in this surrounded space around you. A golden orb seems to appear in the sky above you. Pale green grass completely covers what was once stonework around you. You can still feel the stone beneath your feet. You're still standing on stonework, making you realise that this is an illusion that's being conjured around you, as he is setting the scene. Heightened emotions, sorrow and love, mania and despair. You see these sentient-looking creatures, humanoids for want of a better word, seemingly springing into existence, just like this. A tableau of when you see one of those huge paintings from way back in the day of there's so much going on, like a village scape, and you can see people like down in one corner laughing and joking, and in another corner there's a washerwoman crying, or whatever there is. There's all these images around you, people, mostly elven or Eladrin looking, mostly elven I'll say, that are around you with all kinds of emotions heightened. Every feeling will come and go, sure as day follows night. And you see with that one that that the sounds of laughter and sobbing seem to join in with the visions as well. It's an auditory illusion as well as a visual one. It continues. The air kissing the sky with song and sound. Song and sound music starts to join in with the sounds of the people. For magic is in melody, harmony and in between. For those that wish to fly, music lifts you from the ground, and you see that some of the people around you seem to shift down and become these other creatures of that you've seen around, like fairies and sprites, flying creatures sprouting wings and lifting themselves up. You also see a very familiar now dragon-like creature called an earworm that appears as part of this tableau, and seemingly its body shouldn't be able to be lifted by its wings alone. It seems like it's held up by the power of music. And the things you wish to see cannot always be seen. You see the some of the fairies now wink out of existence and disappear, but you get the impression that they're still there. There's just like a very subtle sort of shimmer of the air where they once were. The creatures of this land, beings with wing and horn. You start to see beasts being conjured into the image. Squirrels and pigs, deer, butterflies. The pigs that you see, however, have wings folded back on their across their body. The squirrels have little nubbins of horns. All of the beasts are a little off. Every single beast, the charm within their power. And men laced of plant and skin the colours of the dawn, gifted with, at the least, the magic of tree and flower. And this is when you see the Eladrin taking place. The Eladrin are appearing among the elves now. Creatures with golden colours to their skins, skin the colours of sunrises and sunsets. So welcome to the Gaete. There's nowhere quite the same. We're willing to bet staying here will be the name of the game. And as his poem, his sonnet of a sort, comes to completion, the statue of the Merry Gentleman fades out of the illusion, leaving you completely surrounded in this entirely immersive virtual reality world of a tableau. Sounds and vague movements, subtle back and forth movements, but otherwise a still tableau of life here in the Gaiete. The Gaiete, or the Gaiete, is, Apis would know, the common name here in the Feywild for the Feywild. The Gaiete in the Sylvan language means the joyous place. Something to that effect. So you've been presented with a poem, you've been presented with an illusion. You look around to Farangol, who is seemingly seeing this illusion as well. And Mel is immediately flying over to this patch of beautiful flowers, and very disappointed when she touches down and feels only stone and rock beneath. And then you're left there with no explanation of why or what to do. Music makes us fly according to the poem, panpipes it is, or shoot the orb. So, once more, all at once. The golden star directly above, motionless in the air. Fields of pale green below, outstretched in the daylight. Heightened emotions, sorrow and love, mania and despair. Every feeling will come and go, sure as day follows night. The air kissing the sky with song and sound, for magic is in melody, harmony and in between. For those who wish to fly, music lifts you from the ground, and the things you wish to see cannot always be seen. The creatures of this land, beings with wing and horn, every single beast to charm within their power, and men laced of plant and skin the colours of the dawn, gifted with, at the least, the magic of tree and flower. So welcome to the Gaiete, there's nowhere quite the same. We're willing to bet staying here will be the name of the game. We could start with Jeopardy. What is the Feywilds? You shout out, what is the Feywilds? And nothing responds. But, I'll say, Triv Dave, Farangol says, this isn't the Feywilds. A tableau is usually a still image of something like this, for instance. You're in a three-dimensional, almost interactive, illusionary tableau. A snapshot of life, as it were. Would it be an opportune time to take a rest, or is that too much of a gamble? You can try if you want, yeah. So we need to find the name of the game from the poem? Maybe. It ended with, we're willing to bet staying here will be the name of the game. Did the others hear the poem too? The others did hear the poem as well, yes. The last line may be the answer. Staying here will be the name of the game. If this isn't the Feywilds, do you know the name of this place? And Farangol says, this isn't a place that I know of. I just know that it's not the Feywild because it's just wrong. There are too many inaccuracies. It's like somebody who's heard of the Feywild but never been here, never studied it. Panpipe check. Let's get that nat for. Can we tell if this poem references history or present? Let's give it a check. It's going to be an Arcana check because you're specifically thinking about planes of existence and not necessarily historical events. It could be history or Arcana. Either way, you're +2 to it. 12 +2 from your Arcana and or history. You can tell, like Farangol says, there are inaccuracies here. This looks like the Feywild, but not in a way that you have heard. There are things that don't feel quite right. It's not the Feywild since pale green, daytime change, mania and despair. Yes, Tiliagundus. Apis starts to pick up on things. The grass below your feet, for instance, is a pale green. Since your time in the Feywild, grass is rarely green at all, but when it is vibrant and saturated, hyper-saturated. Daytime changing, day following night, that doesn't happen here. Mania and despair. You were told recently by Farangol that there is no despair in the Feywild. There is no sorrow. It is an emotion that cannot exist on this plane of existence ever since the Feywild was split with the Shadowfell, the place of despair. Undeath and necromancy and despair does not exist here. Can we say staying here? We're willing to bet staying here will be the name of the game, and so you say, Staying here. Nothing responds. There's inaccuracies. Well, the last test was for the ones for what the odd thing out was. Maybe we could try doing the same with this. As sure as day follows night line is wrong. Day doesn't follow night here. As soon as you speak that out loud, the candles that people are holding, or like anything that signifies that there is a day-night cycle here. The sun is currently direct overhead, the glowing golden orb in the sky. But there are other things, like maybe there are street lights, for instance, or maybe there are beds that you can see through people's windows. All of those things that indicate that there is a night disappear from the illusion. Our task before was pointing out non-fey things. Maybe it's to speak the poem with correct descriptions. Remove everything from the tableau that's not correct. Maybe. There's no despair here. As soon as you speak that out loud, all of the sorrowful people, the people that are crying, anybody who's like suffering like great torment, there is like, you can feel sad here, you can feel angry, you can feel negative emotions, but they just never get to an extreme. You just cannot feel those things in this plane. All of those people in this tableau that are feeling those heightened senses of despair and sorrow disappear. Color isn't pale. The green grass goes vibrant in color and hypersaturated, like the green of the logo on the starting screen. Everything here is hypersaturated, eye painfully inducing colors. The sun stays in its place. Now, it did say, the first line of the poem was, the golden star directly above, motionless in the sky. So it did say it was motionless in place. I don't remember where the sun actually was in the Feywild. It's not sure if it was directly overhead like this star is. So you would know from your studies of the Feywild, Apis knows about the Feywild through their mum. You would know that the Feywild is essentially a planet, just like the material plane is, but it is tidally locked to its star. So in some places of the Feywild, the sun is directly overhead and it stays there always. There are some places where it's directly on the horizon and stays there always. Wherever you are on the Feywild, the sun stays in your respective place of the sky, always. Nothing can remain hidden. You think about the fairies that disappeared and went invisible, and the line, the things you wish to see cannot always be seen. And as you say, nothing can remain hidden. You get a shock of pain through your head as you take 1d4 psychic damage for giving an incorrect option. There are things here that can turn invisible, and so what you wish to see sometimes cannot always be seen. You take 2 points of psychic damage for an incorrect guess. Men are not from here, but elves. Not one that I'd had in mind, but yes, I guess you are correct, Bigger Blue. The thing about that is, I haven't yet decided for my world whether the word men just means like humanities or like people like that. So you don't take psychic damage, but nothing disappears from the tableau. If we want to make it obvious and clear that something's happened, then let's say that there were a couple of humans in the tableau that disappear when you say that. Was the sun directly above us just before we got in here? No. In the area of the Feywild that you are, it is the dawn section of the world. The sun is constantly in a dawn position. Not every single beast can charm. As you say that, Redial, some of the beasts that have that seem to be like having deep, meaningful eye contact with other people in the tableau, they disappear or they just turn their heads away. You are correct. Not everything here in the Feywild can charm you. A lot of things can, but not everything. So this is our test again, not Ferngul's. It seems like Ferngully's test is not yet started. You have a multi-part test to prove that you are an invited guest here to the Feywild. Not all of them are gifted with power. The men laced of plant and skin, the colours of the dawn, gifted with at the least the magic of tree and flower. As you say, not all of them are gifted with the powers of tree and flower. You get psychic damage again as you take a d4, 3 points of psychic damage. Apparently, all of the Eladrin, as a part of being an Eladrin, you are imbued naturally with abilities over druidic-like features. Okay, out. Farangol, we can't point things out that are accurate or it hurts us. Have you got any other suggestions? Music colours the air and lifts the soul, but not lifts you from the ground. Farangol says, let's see, he points things out. He would definitely know a lot about this stuff, so he can point out things that we haven't got. He points out, he says, if the sun was directly overhead, we'd be in the scorched region of the planet. We are clearly not, so either the sun is not directly overhead here, or we're not in this region. As he says that, nothing happens. But then you repeat it. The sun shouldn't be directly overhead if there's this much plant life. And then as you say that, the sun shifts down to the horizon. Music colours that, and then you stop yourself and you say, Farangol, music doesn't lift you off the ground here? And he says, it can. And he points to the earworms and says, they stay aloft mostly because of their music. There is magic within music here, and it doesn't always lift you off the ground, so I'm not sure if that's exactly what it means, though. But I wouldn't say that one. Not all music can make you fly, you say. And nothing changes, but no psychic damage either, because that's not exactly what it said in the poem. It didn't claim that all music can make you fly. Just that music can. You need to bring a gift as an invited guest. That was not a line of the poem, so nothing happens. Not all of them are colours of the dawn. Now I did use the wording in order to keep with the very odd rhyming scheme of using the word dawn. Unfortunately, that one is one of the ones that I intended to be correct. So you take another d4 psychic damage as the colours of the Eladrin. It did not say all men, it said the men laced of plant and skin, the colours of the dawn. It's talking about the Eladrin with that line, as the Eladrin were the ones that appeared at that time. And the Eladrin, they do take the skin, the colour of like sunsets and sunrises and autumn colours and things. The colours that you would get in a beautiful sunset or a sunrise. Only 1 point of psychic damage though, as that one was accurate. We removed despair. Did we also remove mania? We did not remove mania because mania is a thing that does exist here. The way that I think of my Feywild and Shadowfell as a pairing is kind of like manic depressive, mania and despair. They are the two sides of that same coin, and they were split down the middle and separated. You cannot experience joy. You can get some level of happiness in the Shadowfell, but you can never experience joy or like heightened emotions of mania or anything like that. And the Feywild is the opposite. Cannot experience the extreme end of the. It's kind of like if you thought about those sorts of emotions as like a spectrum. The material plane sits here, the Feywild sits over here, where the average has been skewed off to the side, and the Shadowfell sits over here, where the average has been skewed off to the other side. So mania and despair was wrong because despair was here and shouldn't have been, but mania is. Alright, so let's have a look at the poem again and I'll see what you've got wrong, because Farangol can also help. The sun is not directly above. Pale green grass is unheard of here. He does say, as the song sort of repeats in his head, he says, I'm not sure if this is its own thing, but it said, fields of pale green grass below, outstretched in the daylight. And if the grass was below the sun, it would not be in the daylight, because the daylight is only it would be in the twilight. And he says that, and it's correct. You repeat it as well, but it wasn't really something that was that needed to be corrected, so to speak. Welcome to the Gaete. We know the Gaete is the Fey word for the Feywilds, and this isn't it. This is an illusion. We know this is an illusion. It was an illusion that was created around us as we went. The illusion has stuck around though, so you haven't gotten everything yet, I don't think. Oh, there was one more thing actually. There's one more thing. So as he says that and you repeat it, the grass, the grass closer to the sunlight, I'd say, just sort of wilts a little bit, just to represent how the grass under the sun does wilt. But then nothing changes of the illusion. There is one more thing, it seems, that is wrong. I'm gonna roll you a perception check and Farangol a perception check as the two of you look around this this spot the difference essentially. Alright, so Farangol will get it even if you don't, but let's see if you can get it first. That is a 19. 19 plus your modifier will be plenty enough. As you're looking around, Farangol is looking at the minutiae of the ground and seeing what it is, seeing what it is. You look to the horizon and you see the sun isn't that colour. That's a golden sun, a golden orb. That's a material plane, and you didn't notice it at first because you're used to seeing the sun in that colour. But the sun here in this part of the Feywild, at the very least, because of the rising and stuff, is much more pink. It's like a magenta-y kind of a pink colour. And so you say, "Isn't the sun pink?" And as soon as you say that, it turns pink, and then the entire thing comes to life. The tableau around you springs to life, and the people start playing and laughing, and people are playing music. There's like a satyr dances past, and the earworm flies past, and as they do so, it just kind of fades back to the ground that you were on before, of the mountain range. Congratulations, you made it through the second trial. What do you want to do now? It's just you, Mel, and Farangol standing here in the mountain range. Only 57 trials to go. Yeah, you have some time, it seems. Nothing seemingly is changing for either of you, and he hasn't been presented his trial. Start a long rest. Heal. Who's up for healing? Thumbs up if you want to spend another spell slot or potion to heal. Thumbs down if you don't. You've got 2 spell slots left. Ask him if he can heal. Can you heal? And he says, I have some abilities with healing, yes. Alright. I think at this point you've earned his trust enough that he doesn't mind expending some resources on you. So he will walk over and he will use a level 3 Cure Wounds, which is 6 and a 4, and a 4 is 14. 14 plus his modifier is, I think, a 4. So 18 hit points. He was reluctant at first because he is very cautious. You're gathering from his demeanor and his personality so far that he is a very reluctant person. He's a very careful person when it comes to being in the Feywild. Seeing you going through trials though, and doing things the way you're doing them, and it seems like it's giving him some trust in you being who you are. We didn't ask him for healing, we asked if he had the ability, and then he chose to. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Don't mention it. You've been here before, right? Can you continue forward? Yes, I've been here before. He walks forwards, continuing up the path a little, and you walk for about an hour. Do you think we're free to go? Do you think it'll want to test you as well? He says it should test me, yes, but the path is long, the trail is long. There is time yet. We're not out of the mountains till we're out of the mountains. And so you continue on for about an hour. You walk. Eventually, though, you get quite far up into the mountains, and you have a rock face on both sides of you, a cliff, sort of a valley that you're walking through on this trail. When the sounds once again, the unfortunately familiar sounds of things emerging from rock face. Only this time they don't seem to be as distinct or as clear in their form as they were before. They're even more abstract representations than they were for the ones you've seen so far. What you see is 6 golems, for want of a better word, emerging from around you in a circle. Some of them coming out of the sides of the cliff face, the valley faces, and some of them coming up from the ground, and they surround you in a circle. There is a snow-capped stone golem that's held together with ice, like the Japanese art of kintsugi, where the gold is used to hold together broken pottery and such. It's like pieces of rock held together with ice, and it's got snow over the top of it. It looks relatively thin as it emerges from the cliff face. There is an ornate, well-carved and well-maintained marble pillar up from the ground. One of the trees nearby immediately hardens into stone and becomes a petrified tree that then somewhat uproots and pushes itself towards you. A large, enormous boulder that you are walking past rocks to life, and just this huge, big, rotund boulder starts to move towards you. One of the rocks coming out from the other cliff face is a smooth sedimentary stone. It seems like it's layered. It looks like river rock, if you were to say, like something that's been worn by water very well. It's extremely smooth and very much layered rock. And then the last one is a pitch black, sharp obsidian golem that comes out of the ground, very jagged and sharp and angular and very dark in its appearance. The 6 of them surround the 2 of you, and they get close enough to each other that passing between them will be possible but difficult. And then as they form, Farangol on the ready with his bow, and you yourself as well, just with anything moving like this. I like that boulder. That is a nice boulder. You're both arrows nocked, arrows drawn, and then you hear this rumbling underneath your feet, and it seems to interpret yourself. It seems to interpret to your mind as the words, "Prove it." And then another 7th pillar emerges from the center of the area where you guys are standing. A 7th pillar erupts, almost pushing you guys apart. The floor starts to shake and shift because you guys were pretty much standing in the center of the circle. It comes up between you and pushes you apart. And this one forms a more humanoid appearance. It has arms and legs, unlike the others that are representative of just abstract objects. This one has humanoid arms and legs like a proper golem. It towers above you at about 12 feet tall, and it seems to be made out of gold. I'm going to have you make a dwarven stonework history check with the double proficiency. So that would be a +3 from your intelligence, and then at this level that would be a +6 from your proficiency. So that's a +9 onto this roll. Alright, +9 onto your dwarven stonework proficiency thing, because by nature of being a dwarf. 17 + 9, you immediately, with a 26, you immediately recognize this as not gold. This is pyrite. This is fool's gold. This is a gigantic fool's gold golem. As soon as it emerges with the words "prove it," it starts to approach you. I'm going to make an insight check on your behalf. That's going to be a 9, so you're not sure what to read on what's happening with Mel or Farangol in this moment. But I need you to roll an initiative check. Apis Hive initiative. That's going to be an 18. 18 is a good initiative. All right. 18 plus your 3 from dexterity, that's a 21 initiative. And then Farangol, and then the monster thing. Mel before the monster thing. So you, Farangol, Mel, monster. That's what we're doing. What do you want to do? You have the first option as Farangol as Farangol is just standing there kind of like not sure what to do. What are you doing? False gold is a fey trick. It certainly is, yes. Fool's gold, pretending to be gold. Yes, it seems like it. The pillar is the only worked stone, all of the others are natural, yes. I'll say as well that once they formed their position, once they formed their sort of arena around you, the 6 others just stood there. They just stayed standing. The only one that's moving is the one in the middle, the Fool's Gold one. Trip it with your magic rope. Try and trip it. Can do. What do you want to do, guys? You need to act quickly. Petrified tree might not count as a true stone thing. Maybe head over to that and tag it. Okay, you could do that. Can't leave the circle the pillars have made. You can try to. Throw a gold piece at it. You could try that if you want. We need some sort of consensus, and if there isn't one, I'm going to have to do a nightbot. Step behind the volcanic rock. It's the hardest one. The obsidian. The obsidian is a very fragile rock. Don't believe Minecraft. Tell the rope to restrain the gold thing. We don't know, Robert! Everything so far has been pointing out fey things, but I'm stumped. I will say, Apis is an intelligent person. I'm going to get you to roll an intelligence check real quick. 14. You recognize that before your first trial, you were told prove it. Before your second trial, there was no prove it. Before this trial, there's been a prove it. We're panicking, Raph. We're panicking. Alright, I'm going to open up Nightbot and we're going to go into individual peoples. We're going to, if you want to be in with a chance to decide what to do on this first round of whatever this is, whether it's combat or not, you can type !gold into the chat. !gold, G-O-L-D, and doing so will enter you into the draw, and after 30 seconds or so, I will draw one of you at random. Please only enter if you have an idea of what you're going to do on your turn. You have a second level spell slot left, a first level spell slot left. You have an arena that seems to have been made in the center of this mountain pass, and you are surrounded by 6 very distinct stone golems of sort, and there is a pyrite stone golem that is coming for you. It's definitely turned towards you and it's coming to you. We are just the bait for our companion to fix a wrong. Is that what they said? That is what they said. When asked, what are you? Farangol answered, someone trying to right past wrongs. Pointing out the instances of prove it on 1 and 3, but not 2. Already figured that out. It doesn't help. Alright. 10 more seconds to enter !gold in the chat for anyone who wants to be in with a chance to enter the draw. I'm not getting a lot of people entering it because a lot of people are terrified of, like, oh god, I don't know what to do. Fool's Gold is fake gold. Which of these is a fake rock? All of the ones around you seem to be rock. Mineral of different sorts. Even the Fool's Gold is rock. We may have to defeat the non-fey part of the golem, but what is it? Throw a lucky horseshoe at it. Alright, we will roll it. 3, 2, 1. Redial. Redial, you take control of Apis' mind in this moment. What is happening? This 12-foot tall golem started moving towards you. I was right for the wrong reason on the first one. I don't have something to be right about for the wrong reason this time. I think it's the first one that doesn't belong of the 6. The frozen one. Petrified tree is not real rock. Once something has been petrified, it becomes rock. It's genuine rock. That's what petrification actually means. Like fossils. Fossils are when the tree or the animal or the beast or whatever, the bones, become calcified, become turned into rock. I'm not an archaeologist, so I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I know that fossils are rock. It's not like the bone is trapped in the rock. The bone has been turned to rock, and in the same way the tree has been petrified, it's been turned to stone. Redal says, I say run over to the petrified tree and stab it with our dagger, yelling, the tree is not a rock! you rush over, you do so, you run out, you stab out at the dagger. I'm not going to have you roll for it because it's not moving, it doesn't seem to react to your presence at all. You run over to the tree and you stab it, you scratch your blade across the rock. It does seem to scratch the rock in the same way that it would scratching any sort of stonework, and as you do so, nothing else happens. You've got a bonus action if you want to do anything red. I think the first stone giant is maybe the worked stone, the others is not. That was the second guy. Just to reiterate for everybody, this set the scene around you. There is a snow-capped stone golem. There is a marble pillar, a petrified tree, a smooth sedimentary stone, an enormous boulder, and pitch black sharp obsidian. And then a fool's gold golem that's attacking. Wasn't a bad idea. It definitely wasn't a bad idea, but it doesn't seem to have affected anything. You've got a bonus action if you want to take it. Redial if you want to do anything particular with it. If you want me to keep pointing out your fey tricks, that's not real gold. You just shout that out in case that helps. That's not real gold. That's pyrite. It's full gold. It's a fey trick. You shout that out and nothing seems to work. It doesn't seem like it's responded to your shouting that. In the meantime, Farangol's turn. You hear him go, "Oh, Chandras, I was afraid of this. This is my trial." And he pulls back his bow and he says, "Leave her alone!" And he fires off his arrow and strikes out at the Fool's Gold Golem. That is definitely going to hit. And he has his extra bonus, and then his extra bonus because it's Fey. A decent chunk comes off of him. Alright. Then it is Mel's turn. What is Mel going to do? She doesn't know what to do. What do I do, Apis? She starts conjuring her Mel's militia. She starts to shake and do a little butt wiggle dance that bees do, and all of the insects and creatures of this mountain valley start to come out of the stoneworks and the cracks and the crevices and start to emerge and form a swarm of biting, flying insects. She conjures it right over the head of this pyrite stone golem. That's her action to do. Then it's the militia's turn. The militia are just going to try and bite and scratch and sting and claw and whatever else. Nat 1. Nope, they do not. Oh, there's two of them now at her level. She can conjure 2 of them. Neither of them hit. Unfortunately, getting through the stonework of armor class is going to be pretty tough. Alright, so we are back to Apis, Commander Steel. What are you doing? Oh, sorry, no. We are going to be on you in a second. It's now the monster's turn. It's now the creature's turn. Commander Steel, start thinking about what you're going to be doing. Meanwhile, the golem comes down across to you, reaches down with a big old hand and tries to grab you. Nat 20. Thankfully, the Nat 20 was on the grapple check and not on the attack roll. So Nat 20 versus your contested check, in case you can beat a Nat 20 plus strength of a pyrite golem. Needless to say, you are grasped in its clasp and very tightly restrained. While you are grappled in this way, you are restrained, meaning you can still attack, but you have disadvantage. Your movement is 0. There's no way out of it other than to try and break its grapple or to misty step out of it. It's grabbed you. It then moves. It then turns around to face more into the arena. It's facing towards Farangol, and then it holds you out, and it starts to squeeze. Its attack was to grab you this turn, but so it can't actually do damage with it. But on its next turn, you get a very good feeling, like if you are in its grasp at the start of your next turn, at the start of its next turn, it's going to do some damage to you. Displace a cloak, unfortunately, is against attack rolls, not contested athletics checks. Alright, it is now your turn, Commander Steel. What is Apis going to do? Shout, "We need to prove that it's fake gold!" Misty step out, and if Apis can produce a real gold piece. Absolutely, Commander Steel. So, using your last spell slot, you misty step out of it, again conjuring that mountain fog around you, reappearing as far away as you can, 30 feet away the other side of this small arena, which pretty much takes you right over to the other side of the arena, which from the tree would be right in front of the pitch black sharp obsidian of the sharp angular one. You appear there, you reach down into your pouch, you pull out a gold coin, you say, "This is real gold, that's fake gold." Alright, perfect. as you are finished with that, we will roll for the next person. Exclamation mark coin, C-O-I-N, if you want to be in with a chance to decide what happens next. As you get the coin out, you shout this about, like, prove it's fake gold, and Farangol pulls another arrow out and says, I'm sorry, that's not it. And he's going to fire off. I should have actually had 2 attacks in the previous turn, shouldn't I? That second one is going to miss, actually. The second one hit across this stone and scratched. Farangol says, that's not it. This is a representation of the council. And then he fires off 2 more times. The second one will hit, and he can re-roll the first. Oh, both of them will hit. Cool. He turns them both into hits. That's going to be 12, and then another. So 20, 25, 28 points damage. So that's another big chunk comes off of it. It's not looking wounded yet, but he's doing another huge chunk. Should we be helping if it's your trial? And he says, help or not, it won't make a difference. I have to right past wrongs. You stay away from her. And he steps between you and the golem. What council? The Fey Council. As he continues to pepper arrows at the creature. It is now Mel's turn. Mel is going to try and she only ever uses sleep when you tell her to, so she's not going to do that. She's going to try and sting it, I guess. She comes down to try and sting. Hey, she actually with Mel's. She just hits the armor class. She actually gets through rock with her stinger. Good job, Mel. All right. It is resistant to poison, but she's going to pump in some venom anyway and see what she can do with it. That's a decent chunk from the thing. That's 10. That's oh damn. All right. She's doing all right with that. That's piercing damage is 9, and then halved because it's regular damage. To that takes to this, and then we've got 11 points of poison halved. Not bad. It's still not looking wounded, but Mel manages to get a decent sting into some of the cracks between its gold cracks in its body. I was just if it was council due to the stones seemingly from different temperate environments. Yeah, correct. We go by the way, just shouting it in a battle, and he says, "I know." We usually get confused as a he, so her isn't that far-fetched. Yeah, for anyone who was new to the story and you haven't seen over there on your character sheet, Apis is non-binary, and often gets mistaken for more masculine, but has been mistaken for feminine before due to the lack of dwarven beard. Are we representing her in this scenario? And he says, yes. Alright, it is now the golem's turn, so let's roll the next person. Bigger Blue. Bigger Blue, have a think about what you're going to be doing. You've been told that you're representing her in this trial that Farangol has to do. Okay. It is the monster's turn. The monster is going to use its movement to get around Farangol, just moves straight around him. Doesn't even seem to interact at all. Farangol can get an attack of opportunity. Will do so, but it has to be a melee thing. Being the level that he is, I'm going to say that he can draw a dagger out very quick as part of this same attack. Takes a strike across it. Unfortunately, that's going to strike across its back legs and not hurt it too much. So then it gets to you, and with its action, it's going to try and grapple you again. Contested check once more. Oh, it's actually not too bad. Not too bad for you. Let's turn on the dice cam. Here we go. That is a 12. 12 plus 1 from strength is 13. Not too far off. I got an 11 on the dice, but unfortunately the monster, as you'd expect for a stone golem, has more than a +2 strength. So it beats you, but not by a tremendous amount this time. It grapples you in its hand, turns round towards Farangol, and just holds you out. And then starts to squeeze again. I'm imagining it's this companion that he lost, but I don't think bringing it up in game would be a smart thing to do in this situation. maybe not. Alright, it is now your turn. What are you guys doing, Bigger Blue? You're grappled in its grasp again. You can no longer Misty Step out of it, but you can still make an attack. The odd one out's the pillar. All the others are naturally formed. Do something to that, and then try and break free. All right, let's try and break free. So this is another contested athletics check for the monster. 19 plus stuff. You can't beat that, unfortunately, even whatever you roll. So you're trying and trying, but it's just much too strong to break you out of its grasp. But you have shouted that, and Farangol responds to your suggestion of maybe do something to the pillar. He says, I'm afraid not. I tried that last time. That was my downfall. And we are going to roll the next person. All right. Exclamation mark grasp, because you are in this monster's grasp. Exclamation mark GRASP if you want to be in with a chance to decide what to do on your next turn of combat. It is now back to Farangol, and he is going to use his abilities to shoot this thing again. He is going to conjure as he does so. Oh, he doesn't want to hurt you. No, he's a very good archer. He won't hurt you. He's going to conjure a spell to his bow. As he brings his bow up, you can see that the wood of it starts to the wood of the arrow starts to splinter outwards. You have passed this test before, right? I've never been given this test before, and I failed the first time. And then he lets loose the arrow, and as the arrow splits, it showers into a cone of peppered wood splinters, essentially doing several arrows at once. That will hit just. So then that's going to be the regular damage, but it's also going to be another... I'll use Mel's dice in order to have enough. Oh, that's good. It's 10, 20, 26, plus its modifier. 30, takes it to that. And then he is going to get his second attack. Doesn't get the splintered wood on this one. Oh, that's a hit as well. Nice. Alright, which means that he gets another 11. 15 points of damage. So that's... Alright, it is now looking wounded. But it's still standing. You know she can't save. What's the... where's the honour in it? If you know she can't save, what's the honour in it? Fight fair. And as he fires again, it's peppering this creature with damage. The fool's gold is falling off of it. Then it is Mel's turn. Mel is going to buzz down at it and try and hit it again. Unfortunately, this time she can't get through its armor class. The militia's getting to go. I forgot them last time. That's going to be one hit, one miss. And then for this turn, that's another miss and another miss. So one of them managed to hit, which is, I believe, this much damage. Not bad, actually. 7 points of damage plus their modifier will be 9 points of damage. 9 points halved because it's regular damage. Takes it to an extra 5. Every little helps. The bees and buzzing insects are starting to burrow their way into the cracks and crevices of this thing and tear off chunks. And then it is the monster's turn, so let's roll the next person. It's going to be Torduk. Torduk, have a think about what you're going to do. You're going to start in grasp in its grasp, and it's going to be crushing you, which it does on this turn of the combat. It is now its turn. It just forces its hand closed. Unfortunately, with you being grasped in it, it's just straight damage. It doesn't have to roll to attack because that makes the most sense, unfortunately. So it is going to do 2d10 damage plus its modifier. That's going to be 18 points of damage. Which is exactly what Farangol healed you for earlier. And then it does nothing else. It just stands there and watches Farangol. It's staring directly at him. Alright, it is now Torduk. What are we going to do? Planar warrior with our dagger trying to break off the finger to get out the hand. Beautiful idea. So you whip out the dagger, the hunting knife that you've got. You plane a warrior into it with your bonus action, stab down from where you are into the finger of the thing that's holding you. Unfortunately, with you having the restrained condition, you are at disadvantage here, because think of it as like it's grabbed you around the arms and you're just going like this. You're not going to be able to get as much accuracy with your attack. But you should be pretty good. So let's see. I will lower its armor class essentially. So you've got disadvantage, which would be the 2. Unfortunately, with your attack modifier, even with the circumstantial bonus of being right next to it, I was going to lower its armor class a little bit to account for that. Harder to hit. So you're not missing. You're stabbing into it, you're scratching, but it's just not enough to cause damage or to really like plane your dagger right into it. Good try, but not successful. However, you do get 2 attacks per round, so you can attack again thinking about it. 17 plus 5, 17 or 5 plus your modifier, still not enough, unfortunately. So with disadvantage of being restrained, very difficult to... Nope. Very good choice, Todok, but unfortunately not enough to break free. I want to break free. We have action surge. No, we don't. So we do have a first level fighter, so we can, as a bonus action... Oh, we plane a warrior as a bonus action, so we can't this turn. But we do have our second wind at some point. I think we've used it. Damn it. It's a problem when you don't play for 2.5 months. The character sheet, which was very graciously made and coded by Fancy for me, does save things between sessions. So that has it as being no second wind, no inspiration, no horseshoe. So I'm going to say that we do not have a second wind. We must have used it at some point. But we do, it will come back on a morning. We do have the option to second wind once we've had a rest. Could have used F to get advantage instead of plane, and now you tell me second wind. We don't have second wind right now. It comes back on a short rest. Wouldn't we have had it over the hours between combats? If you'd have chosen to sit down and rest, you could have got it back, but you chose to keep walking with your companion, so you did not have a short rest. It is now back to the top of your friend's turn, which is what's his face, Farangol. He is going to. What does he know about his quarry now since the events transpired? He probably knows. He doesn't know like his full weakness. Okay, that's a very good check though, given his. And he would have advantage just in case. So he knows a great deal about this guy. As he knocks another arrow and takes a shot, he shouts at the stone golem, the gold golem, "I bet you can't catch me." And then he steps backwards and fires off an arrow. Oh shit! No, sorry, he's not going to fire off an arrow because he's going to take the ready action. Yeah, he's gonna take his movement back. He's gonna knock an arrow. He's gonna step back, but he doesn't fire off an arrow this time. What I will do is persuasion check with advantage, given what he knows about this guy. Yeah, definitely works. Yeah, all right. Then it is Mel's turn. Mel is going to take a strike at this stone golem. She actually hits again. That's just its armor class. She's been good there, which means that she's going to do decent damage as well. So that's 8 points half to 4, so that's 4 points there, and then she's going to pump in some poison. 4 points and another 8 halved to 4, so 8 points of damage. Nice. Oh, he's done. He's taken 99 hit points of damage now. He's not looking in a good way. She stabs into him, and then the militia gonna go. That's gonna miss, and then that one's actually gonna hit. So the militia are going to do 3 points plus another 2, half 2 points. Takes him to 101 hit points. Nice. Broken 100. The insects are starting to break chunks out of him as they're burrowing deeper and deeper into this fool's gold golem. As the golem starts to lumber forwards on its turn, it's now its turn, yeah. As it lumbers forward on its turn, we're going to roll who wants to take the next one. Batmerp. Batmup, you are up to decide what you're going to do on this dire straight situation that you're in. Have a think about that as it lumbers forwards. It ceases crushing you. As he shouts, "I bet you can't catch me." It looks towards him, drops you down to its hand. You're still restrained in its hand, but it's not like holding you out and crushing you anymore. It just drops you down to its side. And then, like it's thinking about it for a second, it just pauses and then sets off forwards towards him. Uses his movement to get within range, and then as he gets within range, he reaches out with his other hand to grab Farangol, at which point he triggers his readied action to Misty Step back across to the other side near the between the giant boulder and the black obsidian. So the guy's used his action to try and grab, and his movement, so he can't grab him. So he has failed the bet. Essentially, he hasn't grabbed him yet. So he turns around to continue trying to grab him, to try and beat him. That is its turn. All right, it is now Batmup. You're up. Command the rope to entangle the golem's arms and legs to trip it over. Wonderful. All right, so you can't reach your stuff, so you stick the hunting knife back in. It can't hit it. You can't reach to hit it, it seems. So instead, you reach down and try and pull the rope out. Loose. You give the command to loose, and it goes limp and comes out easier. And as your rope sort of unravels itself from your bag, you ensnare. You give it the elven word to trip it up, and it is going to reach out and try and ensnare this thing's legs. It's not the greatest, but if he rolls poorly, it might succeed. And he does. He got a 2. So it just manages to succeed. Wraps around this thing's legs as he's turning around to go back towards Farangol and catch him. It wraps around him and prevents him from moving forwards. And the golem starts to tip. That is your turn, Batmup. Very well done. Very good turn it is indeed. Back to Farangol. Farangol looks at the giant bee that is buzzing around and the giant clouds of insects that are seemingly doing more damage to this thing than he would have expected. And there's this realization goes over his face. And he says, "My wrong was in not taking enough friends. I won't make that mistake next time." And then fires off an arrow from where he is, right at the falling golem as it's falling. 19, but he has advantage. Or an 18. 19 and 18. The 19 definitely hits. And with 8, 12, so damage takes him to. Oh, the first one doesn't kill him, but it takes him real close. And then the second one strikes with advantage. That's going to be. Oh, that one will miss, but with advantage just hits. Okay. Wait, does it? 14. Yeah, just hits. Damn. That might be enough with his modifier, especially to favoured enemies. 3. 9 takes him to just over. He had 7 left. So Farangol, as this golem falls, fires off his arrows. It strikes into the shoulder of the golem as it's falling, and then the second one goes through the top of its head, and the gold seems to explode outwards, releasing you and landing you in a pile of sort of pyrite rubble. Instantly, the other 6 start to dissolve into the ground or retreat backwards into the cliff faces, and you are left panting. Farangol walks over to you immediately and casts another 3rd level Cure Wounds on you. That's going to be 10, and another 5 is 15 this time, plus his modifier is a 4, I believe, so 19 points of hit points. Oops, that's not the right one. 19 onto there takes you to 31. Takes you to exactly half your health. He cures you up, heals you up, and then gets you to your feet and apologizes and says, "I didn't mean for you to become the subject of my trial. If I'd have known, maybe I would have answered differently. I apologise. I like the way that you think. You have an interesting mindset for dealing with the Fae. You could be useful to have around. I'm glad that I've known you, Archer. Do you think we're done with these tests now? I have a feeling we are, yes. Can you tell us about her? A friend of mine, a travelling companion, we were investigating... I suppose you don't need to know that. For one reason or another, we had reason to challenge the Jester. The Jester is one of the Archfey on the council here, and we had reason to believe that he was behind, for want of an explanation, a slave trade in the Underdark. Upon challenging him, we were presented with a trial by combat in order to prove his innocence or guilt, and my friend and I were unprepared for his abilities. He killed her, and in doing so set himself free of all charges, because that makes sense here in the Feywild. The 6 that you saw just then were the 6 that were on the council of that meeting, that trial. And they sat there and watched as he took joy in beating us. I've chosen to stay here and learn more about them. Who were the 6? He points in the direction that the 6 golems were. First, starting with the snow-capped one, and he says, the Cold Lady. She usually identifies herself as female, and she rules over the frigid wastelands of the Feywilds. Points over to the giant rotund boulder on the other side. It says, the fruity fellow. I think he's in the autumnal side, the twilight dusk side of the planet, and he is very jolly sort. Points over to the petrified tree, and he says, the autumnal scent. He also lives out in the autumn side of things and focuses on plant-based magics. Points back towards the black sharp obsidian one and says, the night owl. Little is known about them. They don't present as any particular gender usually. They are very mysterious, keep to themselves, and very rarely speak. He points out towards the smooth stone, sort of sedimentary one, and says, actually I'm forgetting his name at this point, the Deep Beyond. Says, the Deep Beyond. He rules over the oceans of the Feywild. Usually presents as some sort of male Sahuagin or watery kind of creature, aquatic foe. And then finally he points at the stone marble pillar, the worked stone, and says, the Merry Gentleman, Lord of Avalon. Diggen, Kurupira, Ordval. The one that I'm taking you to. What do you say to that? In character, write it down in the book. Yeah, you can do so. You get your book out as he's speaking. The book on the plains. And you start to write in the margins, just as we've discovered when we arrived back in the material plane with lacking memories of this place. We looked at some of our books and noticed that we had scribbled our own notes in the margins. We start to scribble down the notes of 7 of the 12 council members. Those 6 and the jester. Oh yeah, that's right. We were going to do so, but then we didn't have ink, so we decided not to do that in our own blood. That's right. So we don't write them down yet. We will write them down when we get ink. Do you have a resentment towards Avalon for sitting there and watching? Wouldn't you? I'm sorry about your loss. That's awful what happened. What do you expect to be able to do while you're in their realm? Study them. Is there more behind Farangol than the ICs? There might be. Where was the trial held? That is a good question. I'll be able to find it in my notes somewhere. Because for those who don't know, to let the cat out of the bag, this is a story that's already taken place in a cinematic universe style other story. Not one that you can see, it was a private game. But everything that I'm talking about, and Farangol, they are characters from another story in this same world. And you are now meeting them, and there's a crossover. So I do have the notes from that campaign, that one shot that I ran, but I can't remember exactly where it was held. I have a feeling that it might have been held at the Merry Gentleman's place, but I don't think it was. It wasn't the court. I think it. I'm not sure. I think it might have been it was either at one of the abodes of one of the Archfey, or it was at like a central meeting point. I would have to look it up. But he tells you, whatever the answer was. Do you expect to get vengeance for her death? I don't know what I want. I want some kind of closure. I meant what I said. I want to right past wrongs. It was wrong of me to let her die. It was wrong of us to accuse him with such little evidence. It was wrong of me to not know how Fey councils like to run their trials. We thought we had enough evidence to put him away, and we didn't expect a trial by combat, and that was my mistake. Do you still follow your aims, preventing the Jester from his doings? The Jester must be stopped. Well, I don't mind if you tag along for those reasons, but I fear the consequences could be grave if they find out your intentions. They know my intentions. This is all a game to them, we're pawns. Our power to theirs is nothing. But that's what this trial was teaching me. I think it was showing me that I was only able to succeed because there was more of us. Very impressive work, by the way, he says in Sylvan to Mel. She says, thank you. So that slave trade thing was still happening. Yes. We should be going. He quickly gathers things and starts heading through the mountains. Because I'm running out of time for this session and I want to get to a particular ending point, I will sort of speed over the next little the next little while for you, because with a very powerful archer with him and you and Mel, you're able to have a short rest. You second wind, get back a few hit points. You rest and recover enough to like make it through the rest of the mountain pass. It only takes a few more hours. You gather your rope together and things. It takes a few more hours before you're out of the mountain pass and down on the other side. It does not appear like there are any other trials for you. And on the other side, there is a forest, a large forest. It is a very magical forest, and you heading into it, you can see, as you're coming down the mountains and heading into the forest, right over on the distance, you can see there is one enormous tree that stands very large and prominent above all of the other canopy. And he points that out and says, that is where we're going. That is the home of the Merry Gentleman. And that's where we're going to pick up next time, with you heading through the forest towards the house of the Merry Gentleman. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, YouTube viewer. Have you followed me on Twitch yet? It's free and it lets you know when I'm going live, so you can join in all of the fun as it's happening.